Welcome back to Fast Money. We've got some breaking news here. New York is set to restrict social media algorithms for teens. This, according to the Wall Street Journal, the headlines crossing just moments ago. We want to go straight to Julia Boorstin for more on what this all means. Julia.
You know, this is part of a broader trend we're seeing where a number of states are looking to really crack down on social media and specifically its impact on kids. We've seen legislation out of here from Florida, also from California. And this is all about sort of preventing social media companies from serving up content to kids that's either manipulative or dangerous or particularly in the case of this New York legislation, addictive. And so one of the factors in this bill, which is still being finalized but is expected to be voted on this week, is that this would prohibit platforms from sending minors notifications during overnight hours, which is obviously very relevant. Now, we do have to note that there have been questions by various industry groups about the constitutionality of this proposal. And I do have to point out, and people who have kids know this, is that 13 years old is the minimum age for most social media sites. And this is because of the bill, the COPA bill, Children's Online Privacy Protection Act. And that basically said that websites were prohibited from collecting information on children younger than age 13. So there are already restrictions in place. Of course, parents can consent to having their kids use social media younger than age 13. But I think it's really interesting here that we are seeing this widespread interest and maybe more regulation of how social media companies interact with kids.
So you mentioned, Julia, that this legislation could restrict content that's addictive. Who deems that addictive? That seems like a very subjective measure.
The intention is to crack down on that. But I pointed out this thing here about sending notifications overnight, right? Mm-hmm. You know, I have kids. I don't want them to hear a ping on their phone overnight. And I guess the question here is, what are these different factors that could mitigate that addictive quality of social media, which is really the interest in picking up your phone and checking it, or that could also relate to the algorithms and showing kids content that they're going to want to see more of. So it's going to be interesting to see whether these laws are challenged and if they actually can be enacted, considering some of these questions around free speech, et cetera.
Right. But if New York does manage to enact it, does that mean, is it like a domino effect? California, New York, and then everybody else will follow?
Well, I think others could certainly follow, and New York seems to be wanting to take the lead here, but everyone's watching to see what these laws actually look like. We don't have the full bill because it's still being finalized and has to be voted on. But I, for one, as someone who closely watches the social media space, thinks that we're gonna have to see how these social media companies respond. And I would point out, I have reached out to Meta for comment. I have not heard back yet, and I anticipate that what they would say is that they have all sorts of parental controls and that they don't want anyone under the age of 13 to use their platforms without parental control. So they have been working on these parental controls, and I think that's how they're going to counter this push for more of a crackdown on what they can do with kids.